Welcome again, all wise kids, to our weekly channel. And today we'll be talking about the topic of competence. Competence. Sometimes whenever we deal with this topic, parang iniisip natin masyadong mahirap ma-understand. But actually, this is a very easy and basic concept to deal with. And let's start with this quote from Stephen Covey. He said, "Trust is a function of two things: character and competence." Say it again: character and then competence. Character includes your integrity, your motive, and your intent with people. And honestly, this is what people look at, especially for leaders or anyone who is into relating with others. Your integrity, your motive, and your intent. Ano ba itong motive mo? Integrity talks about your talk and your walk together. Intent, what is your uh, intention in serving people? Now, continuing the quote, competence includes your capabilities, your skills, your track record. And as Stephen Covey would say, character and competence are very important. Kahit may character ka, kung hindi ka naman competent, kulang pa rin. Today, we will be talking about competence. And what is competence? Well, competence is the ability to do something well or effectively. Halimbawa, drawing. There are those classmates who are very good at drawing and they are very competent. Pero even if you can do it well, the question is, can you do it effectively? Or let's say you are playing an instrument. Can you follow it up? Let's say, okay, nakatuto ka ng ganda, but can you play it continually the same as it is or better than how you played it in the past? But that is competence. Again, it is the ability to do something well or effectively. Now, this is a quote by John Maxwell. He said, "There are three qualities a leader must exemplify to build trust." What are they? Competence, connection, and character. Nabanggit na naman yung competence and character. Sinamahan ng connection. Now, to build more on our definition of competence, the ability to do something well or effectively, here is a video that can explain better what competence is. And it talks about the stages of competence. Let's watch this video.
Building new skills or learning things can generally seem like a straightforward process. For the most part, you start off by not being very good at that thing, and then over time, you keep working at it and your competence grows. At face value, this might be how you think about it. But some theories have explained that our knowledge and skills go through a few levels of awareness and ability. This is something that can be easily understood by using the 4 stages of competence model that was developed in the 1970s. As a reminder, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos from me every single week. Now let's get right to it. So the first stage is called unconscious incompetence. Whenever you embark on something new, simply put, you don't know what you don't know. You aren't even sure what you need to be learning or what areas you might be falling short. As you can imagine, this can end up being quite dangerous because you aren't even able to identify what you need to work on. The first step to moving out of this level is realizing and acknowledging that there are likely many things that you do not know, and that with time and patience, you'll be able to move on to the next stage. And that next stage is conscious incompetence. The difference here is that you now know that you need to work on certain areas, but you've also identified gaps in knowledge or skills that you could develop. It's crucial to keep making mistakes at this stage, only so that you can keep learning from them and getting better. It's possible that you may even lose some of that confidence that you initially had because you're starting to see how much you don't know. At this point, you might also realize that you can make a choice about whether to continue bridging the gap on your skills or to accept that gap altogether and live with it. I have a feeling that you'll pick the former. And if you do, you'll move on to the next stage. This next stage is a crucial one that is known as conscious competence. Once you're here, you've pretty much gathered a lot of the skills and knowledge you need in order to do a good job. However, you're still learning a whole lot. your competence doesn't really come naturally to you. Hence, you have to be truly conscious of the effort that you're putting in. You want to maintain a degree of determination and consistency in your learning to help it all come to you a little bit more naturally. Over time, you will finally move on to the last stage, which is unconscious competence. By this point, you've put in so much time and effort that the skills are embedded in your DNA and works like muscle memory. Your confidence also rises through the roof, and for good reason. You're likely even able to teach what you know to others so that they may be able to get up to your level one day. What's even better is that you understood the effort that it took to get to this stage, so it'll make you better equipped to empathize with those that you may be teaching. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a psychological concept that illustrates how our confidence rises, falls, and rises again as we increase our skills. This just goes to show how becoming great at something does take time. But managing our expectations of ourselves throughout that process can almost become just as important. If you'd like to check out the video that I made on the Dunning-Kruger effect, I'll leave a card up top and a link in the description as well. You know, when things don't go our way due to a lack of presentability on our part, we tend to get frustrated or overly disappointed. But these 4 stages of competence serve as a great framework to realize that there are often gaps in our knowledge to start off with, but over time we can put in the work to become proficient at it. My goal with most things is to do what I can to get to the conscious competence stage, because once I'm there, then I know that I just need to keep practicing or continue being consistent, and then things will get a whole lot easier from there. Kind of like what I'm doing with this YouTube channel. So, if you want to support my work, definitely.
Now, as you see there, class, very important is that you see that you tend more to be competent because of practice. That is why, as we said in our definition, it is the ability to do something well perfectly. But it takes years because of process. In that video, we have learned that competence grows towards you and towards others. Lalo mo ka muna, and then you can also help others grow in your chosen field. One of the quote by Mary Jo Putney, she said, competence is a great creator of confidence. As you tend more to master some things and to do it well, you have that sense of confidence. Now, how can you be more competent? Here are some ways to be more competent. Number one, find a mentor. For us, that would be our teachers, our parents. If you are connected in a religious group, that would be your discipler. Anyone who is older and more experienced than you, more knowledgeable, can be a mentor that will help. Hindi po pwede yung pantay kayo ng knowledge and experience. Kinakailangan magkaiba siya so that he or she can help you develop in your life. For example, basketball. Kailangan yan, magaling na coach and player can help you in the skill of sport. Another is keep track of your strengths and weaknesses. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Strengths, you focus on it. Weakness, you try to develop it. Yeah? You try to work with your weaknesses and try to up it one level more for you to grow in your life. Kasi mahirap yun. For most of the time, we need to be strong. And we need to be stronger in a lot of things. Next is make good communication with others. So when you communicate, the question is, is it now a habit that you are doing? Well, good communication is something that you can develop through time. Friendships, learning how to communicate well, and the likes. And last but not the least in this process is that you enjoy the actual process. It's in the process that we grow. For example, if you like pottery, mahirap yung paggawa ng isang pot. But it takes time, patience, in order for you to perfect your craft. And sometimes you need to spend hours. For example, my sister, who is a pianist, every day she spends 1.5 to 2 hours of practice in order for her to master her craft. So again, there are many ways to be more competent, but Again, we can see that competence is something that we can do. Here is a story of a person in the Bible who started with less competence and ended with more competence. His name is Moses.
The Faithful Hall of Fame, Moses. This is Moses, who was an Israelite born in Egypt in a time when Israelite boys were not supposed to live.
Wait, huh?
Moses, however, grew up in the palace of the Pharaoh, the very man who was enslaving the Israelite people. When Moses grew up, he made a big mistake.
Uh-oh.
So Moses ran away from Egypt
Wow!
to the land of Midian.
Ah.
After many years, an angel of the Lord appeared to Moses and told him to go back to Egypt to free the Israelites. After much protesting, God granted Moses his brother Aaron to speak on his behalf.
Whew.
So Moses went to Egypt.
Here, move there.
And on his way there, he met Aaron, who was ready to do whatever God wanted him to do. The Israelites were slaves to the Egyptians, but God had a special plan for Moses.
Hey, everyone up. Huh?
After rallying God's people to them,
Yeah.
Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh
Ahem.
and said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, has said. Let my people go."
Shoot.
And Pharaoh made the Israelites work harder because of this.
Hey, how are you? Huh?
The foremen of the Israelite slaves were angry with Moses and Aaron for causing this trouble.
Huh?
So Moses cried out to God and asked why this was happening. But God said, "You will see what I will do. I am the Lord. I will deliver you from slavery."
Wow, okay. Hey,
Moses told this to the people,
hey.
but they were so discouraged that they didn't listen to him.
Yeah, whatever.
God told Moses to go to Pharaoh and to do exactly as he said. So Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh.
Hey.
God told them to take the staff and throw it down before Pharaoh.
Huh?
Pharaoh was not impressed. He called his wise men and sorcerers, and they did the same thing.
Ooga, ooga.
But Aaron's staff swallowed up the sorcerer's staff. Yet Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he would not listen to them,
Shoot.
just as God had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the banks of the Nile River and meet Pharaoh."
Hey, Pharaoh. Oh, man.
Moses and Aaron did just as God had said.
Oh.
But again, Pharaoh's magicians did the same miracle,
Ta-da.
and Pharaoh refused to let God's people go. So God sent 9 more plagues to Egypt to show his power. Even with all the suffering, Pharaoh's heart stayed hard, and he would not let the people go. On the night of the last plague, Pharaoh woke up
Huh?
and heard a great cry in Egypt,
Oh, no.
for there was not a house in Egypt where someone was not dead. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and told him to be gone with the Israelites. So the Israelites left Egypt immediately and made their way to the promised land, taking with them many riches from Egypt, and they took Joseph's bones as they had promised him many years before. But after they had gone, Pharaoh changed his mind and readied his army to take back the Israelites. When the Israelites saw Pharaoh and his armies come, they were terrified. But God made a way for them. Through all of this, the Israelites saw the great power of their God, the one true God, and they put their trust in Moses, his servant.
That is great. That is where we learn that process is really crucial in everything. What have we learned from that video? Competent people are the ones who pass through the process. And now, sometimes we don't see that immediately, but as the time progresses, we will see that really competent people are the ones who pass through the process and eventually sometimes it takes years like Moses 40 years plus another 40 years plus another 40 years 120 years up until they achieve the promised land. So that is what we have talked about today, competence, and I hope that every one of us will work towards developing our competence more. Our memory verse for today is taken from 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Do your best to present yourself to God as approved and not ashamed, rightly study the word. So again, continue to be a competent person, do your work well, whatever it is. The point is that we will need to really develop it. And let me repeat one of the quotes I said earlier, that competence is a great creator of confidence. I hope that in the next and coming days, as you continue to develop your skill and you become well at it, well, you become more competent. Kasi muli, here is your servant, Dr. Agustino, who would always like to say to everyone, be competent. I believe that is a reflection of who God is to your life. God bless. We'll see each other in another chapel session.